Well, after hanging up his handcuffs, Douglas is now heading from the screen to the stage and he's joining us now to explain more. Lovely to see you.
Yeah, you too.
I don't know if you realise how much of a big fan this one is right next to me now. I've never seen him gush like this,
really?
Douglas. Is it a bit embarrassing for you?
No, I love it. I'm very happy with that.
Well, do you know what? I've met him a couple of times down the years and I've always been a big fan of his acting. And then Shetland, for me, from the start, I heard you interviewed about it on the radio, and there was this moment you said, well, the great thing about setting something in Shetland is your character you wouldn't get phone reception, so you'd have to just go to the top of a mountain and you'd have to get back to the mainland before you could even start. And in today's world that moves so fast, there's something almost lovely, kind of antiquated and, kind of old-fashioned about it.
No, the pacing of Shetland's very nice. It kind of moves quite slowly, it moves at a different pace, because most, cop shows or whatever are all kind of, bang, 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 whereas Shetland's a lot slower than that.
And I also love the fact it took the history of the island into account, like the way the storylines and everything. It's brilliant. It's really good.
It's a wonderful show. We love it. In fact, Shetland is kind of like that's a character in itself, just having that place,
absolutely.
isn't it?
Yeah,
I would say.
Turn your camera 360 degrees and you're looking at something beautiful. Yeah.
How many years did you do it for?
Nearly 10.
Right. So I mean, you've got one life, right? So it has to be a point, I suppose, when you're there most of the year, I'd say, are you?
No, we're not actually. We only spend about 6 or 7 weeks on the Isles when we're filming, and then the rest of it is shot in studio in Glasgow, or we lie and shoot round about, Glasgow and call it Shetland. Really.
For 10 years, I suppose you feel like you've done pretty much
there's a
everything
big chunk of time to do anything, and I think most of the storylines, I mean, there's only so many failed relationships you can have, and there's only, our daughter, which was one of the kind of unique parts of Shetland, of two men bringing up a teenage girl. Well, Cassie, Erin, who plays Cassie, she's 26 now. She doesn't need us, And so I think all of those storylines had kind of reached a natural conclusion, so it felt right to kind of tie it up.
Yeah.
I feel like fans were happy with the ending, though, because I'm kind of glad that it was a happy ending with Nurse Meg.
Yeah,
I'm really happy.
There was the conversation of, how do you finish him off? Do we kill him, or what do you do? But it just seemed, after all he'd been through, it seemed a bit harsh if we'd killed him.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think he deserved a wee bit of happy.
He needed a happy ending.
PTSD and every
exactly. Yeah.
He's like, oh really? I'm going to die. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Do you feel protective over it now? If you know it's going to carry on without you, do you feel protective over how they're going to do it?
Well, I don't know, I've tried not to think about it too much.
Yeah.
I kind of think, well, I loved what we all did together, and I'm very happy with that. And, I mean, it's going to be a different show now. So, I mean, I wish them all the best, and I hope it's very successful, but I don't know that I'll be able to watch it.
What's interesting is the Anne Cleeves books, so obviously she's the lady who wrote it, so she's done so much. She wrote Vera as well. She has all these books, so I presume that Jimmy lives on in those books, or goes on in those books. So will they take story? It's interesting, intriguing to see what they'll do.
We only used the books for the first...
right?
Yeah, for the first 6 episodes. But then there were original stories written by David Kane after that. Yeah. But Anne eventually stopped writing Shetland novels. I think she wrote 8.
Yeah, I think about 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And Alison O'Donnell, one of your co-stars, she could pick up the mantle, couldn't she? She's terrific.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would like to see. I don't know if it'll happen or not, but that would be my preference, yeah.
So would you ever see yourself going back to it then? Maybe just a one-off? Because he's very much alive, his character.
No, I'm done.
Well, one of the reasons you're done is because now you get to do theatre. So you're playing in Mary, which runs at the brilliant Hampstead Theatre. You started already in October. You're on till November the 26th. Tell us a little bit about the play and why you were so attracted to go back and do theatre.
Well, I mean, I always want to go back and do theatre because that's where I started. It's, my first love is the theatre. And the reason I wanted to come and do this is because I've been a huge fan of Rona Munro's writing for, forever. She wrote the James plays, which were so massively successful down here. And Mary, the play that we're doing now, is another part of the kind of history cycle in Scotland. And it's like the first half of it is like a political thriller, where I play a character called James Melville, who's a bit like, if you can imagine, Alistair Campbell. He's a bit of a kind of political operator.
Yeah.
And he realises that the narrative is kind of running away from them. So he thinks the Queen would be safer in Stirling than she is in Edinburgh. But then they get abducted on the road to Edinburgh by a guy called James Bothwell, who's the villain of the piece, if you like. And he takes her to Dunbar, to his castle, and there she's raped. And then the second half of the show is basically an interrogation where the powers that be, the new people who are in charge while Mary's now in prison, basically want her to be off the throne and to be blamed for being an adulteress and a part of, you know, party to murder and all that kind of thing, so that they can get her son on the throne. And so there's a paper that they've drawn up, which was eventually signed into history, saying that she wasn't raped, that she was willing.
What is it about the play, do you think, that resonates so much with the modern audience? Because all this is very specific historical...
Well, I think, you know, that is what happened. That Mary, it was signed into that she wasn't raped, that she did it willingly, and that's how she got moved off the throne.
Yeah.
And so I suppose if you're looking about modern similarities, then, you know, women throughout history have been thrown under whatever bus was most convenient to the men who were writing history at the time, and that's not really any different now.
Sure.
So, I mean, I think that's, you know, and also the play's got bigger themes about consent and things like that.
Yeah.
It's only a cast of 3, isn't it? It's a cast of 3.
Yeah,
Does that make it more intense for you guys?
Yeah, and also it's a very pared-back set. It's very stark. It's very bare. There's nothing to hide behind. And, you know, on last night, actually, I dried horribly twice.
No.
Yeah, it's horrendous. It's like somebody just takes your brain out your head.
It's horrible when that happens.
But thankfully, my castmates, who are much younger and more nimble than I, came and rescued me, you know.
So you do feel really well supported with the cast?
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's only 3 of us, you know. I mean, we have to have each other's back, you know.
Do we actually get to see Mary, Queen of Scots? Did we see her?
She does. She appears very briefly. I mean, the entire play is about her. She is the central character of the play, but you only actually get to see her at the end of the first act and then the very end of the play.
Having done Shetland for so long, was it great to just get your teeth back into theatre? Because I guess you probably wouldn't have much time to do theatre while you were doing that.
I hadn't done a play for about 5 years, and so it's, in one way, it's very exciting because I love live performing and I missed it, but it's also terrifying because, you know, the older you get, the less, you know, sure I am of my memory and things like that.
Aww.
So, you know, it's like, you know, you've got to cram all these words in your head like a, you know, a squirrel with nuts and just hope that they stay there, you know.
So when you're doing something like this, so intense, what do you do to, like, unwind afterwards? What were you doing in your spare time?
Well, you know, if I'm at home, I have a 5-year-old, and that tends to, you know, all my time is taken up, but that's my time, you know. And the rest of the time is just spent, you know, fretting. It's very difficult to kind of come down after a show, really, you know, because you're kind of, you know, your adrenaline's rushing. Well, you guys must know what that's like after doing this live television.
We have to have a little massage, don't we?
Yeah.
We have to chill out. We have to decompress.
Yeah, I think that's...
I mean, some might say we're decomposing now.
I'm still in Halloween. But,
and you and your wife, Tina, put on a performance in your back garden during lockdown. It was with Morven Christie, wasn't it? Was that?
Yeah, that's right. And,
brilliant.
well, it was a thing that the National Theatre of Scotland, it was one of their initiatives called Scenes for Survival. And so we were invited to come up with something that was theatrical, that you could film, you know, remotely, and we did it on a phone.
Can you believe we was doing that sort of thing back in the day?
No, it was great fun, actually, because we live in an old kind of fashioned tenement block in Glasgow that's got a kind of communal back garden, if you like.
Yeah.
And we managed to kind of rope in our neighbours to be like an audience hanging out the windows watching.
Amazing.
And then we, at the end of the play, the piece, we managed to kind of pan up and show everybody watching and clapping, so it was like a play.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We're very excited. This play, Mary, runs at Hampstead Theatre from October the 21st to November the 26th.
Great.
Thank you for joining us, Douglas.
Thank you so much.